In this session, we're going to discuss how to create a labor rate matrix. So from my home ribbon, I'm going to go to Setup. Just below my labor rates is labor rate matrix. So what is a labor rate matrix? A labor rate matrix gives you the capability of having a labor rate per hour multiplier on designated types of jobs or work. Okay, so we're going to create a matrix for a fleet account, since I do fleets, and I want it to be able to mark up the labor rate per hour depending on a particular type of job that I do. So step one is to actually create the matrix. So we're going to go Add. The system's going to ask me, do I want this to apply to any labor rate or to a specific one? So we're going to work off of the fleet rate. We're just going to give it a name. So we're just going to call it the fleet matrix. So step one is to put your base in. So if I come all the way down to Add, this is going to be my factor. So what is a factor? It's the multiplier. So I'm going to just start at 1. So my base rate is $90 an hour. Now, step 2 would be, at what point do I want to start raising the rate? How many hours? So I'm going to add. So let's say anytime I go over or up to 3 hours, it's going to use 90. But as soon as I hit 3, it starts marking it up 10%. So that's going to be a factor of 1.1. That's a 10% markup. I can add again. And let's say when we hit 5 hours, I want it to mark it up 20%. So as you can see, you can go on and on and on depending on how many hours. And we'll do one more at 8 hours. And let's just say we want to do a 25%. So anything from 0 to 3 hours, standard rate. 3 to 5, 99. 5 to 8, 108. Anything over 8 is going to be 112.50 an hour. Now this is what we call a standard or a stair stepper. It'll be a clean break depending on how many hours you have. You can do this as a linear or a sliding scale by selecting here. And anytime you do a linear, it'll double the rate for the infinity. So you see now it'll work on a sliding scale. I'm going to hit OK. So now I have my matrix. Now I have to tell the system, how do I want to apply the matrix? That's going to be called the labor rate matrix rules. So I'm going to go to Add. I'm going to do our fleet one. You notice as soon as I picked it, it automatically said, tie it to this code. Tie it to this code. So if that's all I want to do, I hit OK. And now it'll work. Let's just go take a quick look at how this will work. I have to save it. Go over to a work order. Here I have a customer that is working on my fleet rate. Now, this job was already on here, but let's go take this off real quick and go add a labor line back on. So as soon as you put a labor rate on, or labor line, I should say, it will let you know immediately if that matrix is going to work or not for this particular line. I don't need to look anything up. So if I do 2.5 hours, it's still going to keep it at my standard rate. As soon as I hit more than that, automatically starts creeping up. So it'll automatically apply it as soon as you put your labor time in. See. Now, there are a lot of different ways to apply these rules. Matter of fact, we'll leave that like it is. And we'll talk about some examples here. Let's go open this rule back up. Now, even though it's automatically applying to this rate, I can put a second part to this rule to make it a little bit more specific. I can come in here and say, well, I want this to apply only to a specific service category. So maybe I do want that matrix to work automatically, but I only want it to work when I'm doing engine work. See? So any jobs that I do from that particular category, it will automatically apply the rate. A code or a title. What is that? Let's go take a look. If I come down to my work order setup, if I take any of my jobs here, if I code them, or whatever is written in the title, that's what that's referring to. So you may have a specific set of jobs that you want to code. So all you got to do is just open them up and put your code in, whatever you want to use. And so that's what it will search for if I put that in the rule. Or it will look at specific wording in a title. Some other ways you can apply these rules is by description or a tag. A description must be exact. If I come in here and say, well, I want it to apply to anything in this category, but on that labor line itself, it must have some specific wording, such as, like oil seal, for example. So what that's telling the system is when I put that labor line on, it better have that exact wording somewhere in that labor line description, or else it won't apply this. So it's very specific here. Okay, very specific. Another way this works is off of a tag. So you can have the capability of creating what we call tags in here that can apply to just a labor line. So let's go make one and show you how it works. So underneath my other charges and smart labels, you're going to see tags. We want to go over here and tell the system, let's go make a labor line tag. And we're going to hit add. And we just give it a name. That's all it is. We'll just call it the fleet tag. How's that? So think of a tag as a sticky note. I can go to any labor line in any of these jobs. I can do it back here in the setup. And we'll use accessories as a good example. Or we can go to engine, since we're going to be working in engine. So what I can tell the system is, yes, it's going to look at anything in this category, but it has to have the labor line tagged. So let's just do engine block assembly, for example. So I open the labor line. I go to tags. See, it has no tags in here. I want to open this up. There is our labor line tag. We hit OK. So now what I've done is I've tagged this one specific labor line. Now I go back to my rules. Check the box. What was the tag called? Fleet. So here I've told the system I created a matrix that I want to mark up. I want it to only apply to that code, anybody that's set with that code, in that specific category where the labor line is tagged with that tag. Let's go see if it will work. As a case in point here, always test this stuff when you make it. You never know. So always check it. Always test it. So let's go save all this. We'll go back to our customer again. Let's go add. Matter of fact, let's do this. Let's refresh this. Let me close this up. We won't save that. And then what we'll do is we'll open it back up. All right, let's go throw a job on from the engine. So I'm going to go grab a job here. Let's just say it was a diagnosis here, or just a general service. We're going to add and close. So you see my rate that's applying, $90 an hour. Let's see what happens when I open the line. See, no matrix. So no matter what I put here, let's say I put 3 hours, it's only going to charge $90 an hour. Let's go put that engine block in. So we can go in here and look for it. And open the line. See, the matrix is applying. Now if I go put in, let's say 7 hours or 8 hours or whatever, it's going to automatically use the matrix. The nice thing about a tag also is the fact that I could have a job going in here and I can apply the tag. So if I open this line, let's say I do want to use the matrix on this specific job, I can go to my tags here, open it up, apply the tag, hit OK, and see if it'll apply it. See? Now, if I go put in 8 hours, guess what? It's going to match the other. So that's how your labor rate matrix works. Remember, it's a multiplier of the rate per hour depending on how much time. So it's multiplying your rate per hour.